Hi beautiful ladies, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk to you about the ongoing trend of humiliation rituals against Black women and what you can do about this to protect yourself. Now, a humiliation ritual is when you publicly embarrass someone on purpose in order to diminish their reputation. And on the surface level, you may think, well, okay, well, that's just bullying. But it's a ritual in that there is a spiritual connotation behind it where the person who is often performing the ritual, the person who is doing the bullying or trying to disarm you, they have some sort of jealousy, they have some sort of insecurity or what have you. And so they try to attack you on a spiritual level by trying to disarm you in the most aggressive way. Bullying is similar to this, but the way in which the way that you can tell that it's a ritual is when it's something that's very specific to an insecurity that you have, oftentimes an unknown insecurity, or when it happens multiple times in various situations. That's how you know that it's spiritual, because if it's happening with different groups of people, like different groups of people are humiliating you, but it's often done the same way, there's a very, very low chance that those groups of people are privy to what the other has done. They're obviously not gonna, come together and be like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna humiliate so and so, and then in 5 years, you're gonna humiliate her the same way, and then next week you humiliate her a similar way. Okay, if you notice a pattern and a trend that plays on one specific thing or a few things that are triggering to you, that is a sore spot for you, that is an insecurity of yours, and it keeps coming up over and over, that's how you know that that's a humiliation ritual, because it's on a spiritual level. The fact that these people are able to tap into an insecurity that is only known to you, or maybe those who are close around you, but still primarily known to you, it needs to have some sort of spiritual connotation in order for that person to, number one, know how to humiliate you in a way that touches that insecurity. So for me, that was when I had really bad skin. I had acne, and I've spoken about this before in previous videos, but you could say that, okay, acne is, everyone can see that you have acne. But every time that I would be humiliated by people, it would always be in the same type of way. So they would always kind of be in a group setting. It would never kind of be people reaching out to me privately, which is the right way to do things. If you truly, genuinely feel a concern for someone, one way to know that someone cares for you is when they reach out to you personally and privately to protect your feelings so as not to embarrass you. But every single time someone would call it out, it would always be from, there were men who would do it too, but it would always primarily be from older women, or at the very least, it would always be someone from the Jamaican community who would call it out. It would never be anyone else. And they would always do it in a group setting. And that told me years later, after I realized what humiliation rituals were, and a lot of times it would be done in a church setting too. And so because I was still trying to figure out my identity as a Black identified woman, I would often make an effort to go around other people who share a cultural background as me. And at the time, being a person of faith was important to me. So I would always make an effort to go around other Christians. And so those two things were important to me. Those two things played on my insecurities, if you will, because I base my identity on these two things, even though I was not able to fit in to those spaces, and then by extension, be able to fit in as a Black woman because I looked different and I behaved differently. So I noticed that it was a spiritual thing because those two factors that I just mentioned would always be at play. And they would call me out in public settings in front of other people. I remember this one older lady. She was like the church mother, what you call church mothers, like an elder. And I was in the middle of, someone asked me, I think, to count some tickets or something. And I was counting the tickets. And she came up to me in front of everyone and was like, your skin, you really need to do something about your skin. Like, it's jacked up. You should come stay with me. And like she's rubbing my face in front of everyone. And I'm thinking, I was so embarrassed. No one came to my defense to be like, yo, you don't do stuff like that. Or to be like, you know what? I don't want to cause a scene, but clearly this environment is hostile. You don't need to go around these people anymore. Anytime that I would raise this with a family member, it was always, oh, just look the other way. She doesn't really mean any harm. You know how older women are. They're just looking out for you. And they have different ways of communicating this. But in my heart, it didn't feel like love. It didn't feel like how a grandmother would be like looking out for your needs and saying, you got to take better care of yourself. You're not going to be young forever. It wasn't that maternal type of love. It felt very much like she was trying to take a dig at me. And so that really, really played on my self-esteem and my image to the point that I didn't really pay too much attention to my looks because I would hide behind the fact that I had acne. And there would be times where I would avoid looking at myself in mirrors because my skin was bad and I didn't know what to do about it. And it's not until I realized that I needed to heal my hormones and my gut health and then get a good routine that agreed with my skin that I started to see changes and that I also started to understand the importance of mirror work. That's a separate topic for another video, but just to put a little background so that it makes sense to you, the clear distinction between just bullying, which bullying can also be used as a form to perform a humiliation ritual on someone, but those are the main factors to look out for yourself when you're just doing your own personal reflection and you're doing your own shadow work to see, okay, where are the areas in my life that I've been kind of avoiding that I really need to pay attention to in order to heal and to grow. But it's also an indicator for you when someone tries to perform a ritual on you to try to disarm you and embarrass you. So I've noticed this and I said at the beginning of the video that it's an ongoing trend. It's an ongoing trend because if you can really sit back and think about Black women who have been embarrassed and humiliated just in public, whether it's on social media, in the media, movies, whatever, Black women always seem to be at the forefront of humiliation rituals. And one major reason is because Black women do not have protection from other Black women as a collective and from their men. And so because they have no protection, when people are looking to boost their own self-esteem or try to disarm you, because believe it or not, a lot of non-Black women specifically are jealous of Black women, regardless of phenotype. They may be jealous of the fact that a mixed race Black woman is able to go out and not use self-tanner because she may have fair skin, but she has a nice light glow to her skin, like Jenna Frooms. Or they may be upset at the fact that Black women have this natural aesthetic that the world tends to gravitate to in order to base their fashion trends on, and just the whole vibe and swagger, if you will, that Black women have. And so some women try to co-opt that, but then don't want to recognize that it came from Black women. Or you don't even need to recognize that it came from Black women. They'll just go on an attack and attack Black women for no reason. And like Black women are over here minding our own business. So Black women are always at the forefront. And when you're constantly witnessing other women who look like you or similar to you constantly being berated on a public level, it can be disheartening and it can cause you to be insecure, and it can really impact your self-esteem negatively, because then you begin to feel like, oh, maybe I'm not that special. Maybe I'm not that great because the world is against me. And I'm here to let you know, Black women across all phenotypes and admixtures or non-admixtures, that you need to, first of all, acknowledge that this is happening, and you need to not feed into this, okay? Your self-esteem and your image and all the great things that are lined up for you in the future are on the line, and you cannot allow people to disarm you, because if you didn't have anything great to offer to the world, whether it's on a micro level in your personal life or on a macro level for the world to see, then there would not be a humiliation ritual put out for you, because, well, you have nothing to offer. Okay? So please do not internalize this and think that it is a reflection of your value and your worth. As a matter of fact, the inverse is true. It's a reflection of what you have to offer and people wanting to not be happy that you have that to offer. In more recent cases, for example, we look at Kayla Nicole. Kayla Nicole is the ex-girlfriend of NFL football player Travis Kelce. She was with him for around 10 years. They recently broke up, and then Travis Kelce went and he's now dating Taylor Swift. And the Swifties, Taylor Swift's fans, are taking it upon themselves to berate Kayla and let her know that she's not on Taylor's level and she's not worthy of love and blah, blah, blah. Like, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have been dating for a while now, and the fact that they're still going hard at this woman means that Kayla Nicole and women who look like Kayla Nicole trigger women who look like Taylor Swift. And that's why those women are going so hard at trying to solidify that they think that Kayla Nicole ain't ish. But it's like, if she really wasn't, you wouldn't be going so hard to try to humble this woman, to try to make her feel less than, because it wouldn't even cross your mind. It's like, she has nothing to offer. She ain't cute. She ain't successful. She doesn't have anything that I want. So whatever, like, moving on. You don't see them attacking Travis Kelce's other ex-girlfriends. So that should say a lot about Kayla and women who look like her. Another example is with podcasters. So we had the recent debacle with that Asian chick, Esther, from, I can't even remember the name of her podcast, making comments about Black women's private parts. Like, girl, if you're into women, just say that, okay? If you are into Black women and you want to have a romantic relationship with a Black woman, just say that. You don't need to make nasty comments about another woman's private part to mask how you really feel about that person. You are attracted to her, and that's why you're talking about her private parts. All right? Remember in a previous video about Miss Netta, I spoke about vag envy. This is at play where some gay men attack women's private parts. They'll make disparaging comments about it, the look, the smell, whatever, because they're jealous that they themselves don't have one. Well, a similar case is true for women when they attack other women's private parts. Just randomly out of the blue, makes no sense for them to make a comment like that. It's because they want to be with that woman romantically, and so they try to shame other women's sexuality. The symbol of a sexuality is a woman's private part, and so they try to shame that woman for it, as if it's going to remove their suppressed sexual feelings for that person. So I know that Esther made that comment in relation to Black women who sleep with Black men and the stereotype about Black men's private parts, but girl, she was not going in on Black men's private parts or any other race of women. She wasn't comparing other women the way that she was with Black women. So that tells me that she's just attracted to Black women and won't allow herself to admit it. And so instead of her pursuing a sexual relationship with a Black woman, she's going to attack the Black woman's sexuality, which sucks for her. You hear that with Andrew Schultz and Fresh and Fit and Ish and Gigs talking about Black women not being desirable, and they don't date Black women, and Black women are troublesome in marriage, when the statistics show that any race of men, especially white men, who enter into a marriage with Black women, they have the most successful marriage out of all racial pairings, whether it be white men with white women, white men with other races of women, other races of men with other races of women. Being married to a Black woman you have a higher chance of having a successful marriage if you're married to a Black woman. So always look at the facts. Sometimes the facts are not as evident because people don't want to report them, or it's just not a priority or whatever. Do not allow your emotions to lead how you feel about a situation, because emotions can be deceptive, and they're especially deceptive when people play up on your emotions. They do things to trigger you. There goes that ritual again, where they do things that are a known insecurity. Now, Black women's insecurities are not unknown because we talk about it all the time to everyone, but the constant going at it when Black women are not harassing anyone means that it's a ritual to continue to disarm you, because you have an untapped power and presence that threatens people, and they want to destroy it before you realize it. Which is a perfect segue into my next point about Black women feeding into humiliation rituals by humiliating themselves. Black women really need to go to therapy. They really need to do the inner work, and they really need to focus on loving themselves and healing and becoming better people. And that really should be your goal, regardless of where you are in your self-esteem journey, level up journey as a Black woman. That really should be your focus for 2025 and beyond. Black women need to stop talking about their problems to the world, because number one, you know that nobody cares. And number two, you know that people are going to use it against you to again humiliate you and disarm you. So you really have no gain or benefit in constantly telling people that you don't feel good about yourself, that your men don't love you. I'll see on Reddit like Black women saying, "Oh, does X group of men like Black women? Do you think that we're attractive? Why or why not?" And I have yet to see any other race of women do that. Stop doing that, okay? It's literally the law of attraction. When you put out positive vibes, when you put out your best self, okay, we all have insecurities regardless of race and gender, but when you put out your best self, people will naturally gravitate to that because it's a higher frequency and will want to be around you. And they'll be repelled by people who have low self-esteem because it's a lower frequency. But when they themselves are looking for a self-esteem boost and they want to do it cheap and easy and quickly without having to do their own inner work, they will pick on and attack the person who lets everybody know that they have low self-esteem, because you have no boundaries, which means that you have no protection. There's no guard there to protect you from people mistreating you, because you haven't shown people how to treat you. So honestly, when Black women talk about their problems all the time, it's honestly a defense mechanism where some victims think that humiliating themselves is a way to prevent others from humiliating them first. So it's like, well, if I put my insecurity out there, you can't play up on it because I already did. It's not going to work. If you haven't noticed that by now, with other people who have gone through similar situations, wake up and realize that it's not working. Okay? If you genuinely do not feel good about yourself, you need to first of all go to therapy and figure out why you don't feel good about yourself. But you can go to therapy for years and years on end, and never see any results if you do not apply what you learn. So you need to make a conscious decision to not do the harmful behaviors that you've been doing up to this point that feed into you not feeling good about yourself. And a part of that is getting away from people who play up on those insecurities. So as it relates to humiliation rituals, if you know that there's a group of people in general who do not understand or respect boundaries, or who go out of their way to make you feel bad about yourself, you need to get away from those people. Do not go around them, even if they're your family or they belong to your religious group and you think that you have a duty. Get away from them. If they're at work, you need to start documenting and reporting things to HR. Utilize that resource. Or if you don't want to do that, get a new job within the company or outside of the company and get around a better, healthier environment. Okay? You deserve that as a woman. All right? Speak up. Do not be quiet for fear of embarrassment or being seen as the angry Black woman. Okay? The situation is already embarrassing, so you have nothing to lose, really. And whether someone defends you or not, you are showing that you are aware of what's going on and you won't accept the disrespect. And that's how you stop and disarm the humiliation ritual. So when people say like dumb things, you can say things like, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Why did you feel the need to say that?" Or, "Don't speak to me like that, I don't appreciate it." Or, "What were you hoping to accomplish by saying that?" And when you say that and not give them the reaction that you were hoping for, the fear, the timidity, the crying, the emotionality, they're going to be like, "Oh, hold on a second. Shit, my plan didn't work out. What do I do now?" Then that person ends up looking dumb in front of everybody. And a lot of times that's when people start to step in because they realize, oh, she's not actually cool with that treatment. Or, you know what? As a matter of fact, yeah, that's not cool. Or for their own selfish interest, they want to look like they're the good guy. So they'll stand up and be like, oh, look, I defended so-and-so. Regardless of what the motive is, you will not have to worry about it. People, they may also try to disarm you by saying, oh, chill out. It's not that big of a deal. I was just joking. They weren't just joking. Don't internalize that tactic of the angry Black woman and stand on business. Okay. And lastly, Black women, learn the art of being private and not feeling the need to address things that aren't someone's business. So, people asking you personal questions as a way to embarrass you, don't feel the need to answer it because you feel awkward in the situation. If that person has the audacity to be rude and ask you that question, you can also have the audacity and be like, it's none of your business, or I'm not going to answer that question, or I don't feel comfortable addressing that with you. Then they look like an idiot because you pointed out to them and anyone else who may be around that they look stupid and that you're not willing to play into that. But most importantly, on social media, this is the easiest tool and portal for Black women to be humiliated. Stop talking about things on social media. Stop reacting to other women's humiliation rituals. If you know of a Black woman that is being humiliated and you want to offer support, reach out to her privately, but don't be in the comments saying, blah, blah, F this person, because you are giving in to what the person wants and getting other Black women riled up while they attack their main target. Okay? Don't post things on social media. Don't talk about your relationship. That's a mistake that Kayla Nicole made, even addressing anything regarding her relationship. Let it be radio silent. Look at Beyonce. I always talk about Beyonce on this channel, not so much for her artistic work, but because of the way that she handles herself. She practices feminine mystery and stealth, and she doesn't say nothing. There are a lot of rumors going on right now about Beyonce and Jay-Z and their association with Diddy and them unaliving people allegedly. You don't hear not one thing being addressed about Beyonce. You don't hear Beyonce saying anything. She's not getting up on Instagram Live like Cardi B to talk about people talking about her or her marital status, nothing. You hear radio silence. People may make assumptions and be like, oh, Beyonce and Jay-Z demanded an apology, but you never heard it from their mouths. You need to do the same. Practice privacy, especially on a micro level. If you live in a small town or you belong to like a closely knit community where everyone knows everything, keep your mouth shut. One thing that I notice at churches is that they like to tell people to be vulnerable and to open up, and that's the way the Lord will heal you. You do not need to do that in front of people, because people at church will also, and other religious settings, will also do those things to try to humiliate you. If you really need to open up about something, you can open up to God directly, okay? All right. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know down below what you think about this video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.